world with its memorable new characters, challenging and nuanced combat, and a wonderfully executed Hogwarts student fantasy that kept me glued to my controller for dozens of hours. It's certainly weighed down by technical issues, an unexciting but inoffensive main story, and slim enemy variety, but even those couldn't come.
Okay, so if you're, if you're on the internet, if you are, I don't know, between the ages of like 34 and like 10, you probably grew up with an element of Harry Potter in your life. There is a new Harry Potter game. I am sure people are going to play it. And the thing that I think is going to be, I think tough for some people right now is it appears that the game is pretty good. We have some, let's see, IGN gave it a 90. I don't know who the fuck XGN is, but 90 as well. Eurogamer Germany 80, somebody else 80. Okay, we got some 60s, we got some 70s. I don't know who any of these ones are, but it seems like it's probably a good game, which is I don't want to say unfortunate, because I don't really like the idea of like rooting for games to be bad, because I don't like one of the people who is going to benefit from this video game existing, being marketed, being sold to people. It's not my favorite thing, but I'd be lying if I said that I think that the idea that this is a good game is going to make the rhetoric around it a little bit more difficult. And by difficult, I mean, like, how do I say this? J.K. Rowling is kind of a piece of shit. She has taken her book franchise, which was very, very what's the word I'm looking for? Let's play this in the background with no sound while I talk. Her book franchise, for a lot of people growing up, me included, was fundamental to a lot of our childhood memories, a lot of our, I think, kind of literary, I don't know if I want to say journey, but like upbringing to a degree. Like, I read the Harry Potter books as they were coming out, and they were like benchmarks to like reading for me, a lot of it. I have like dyslexia, I have like ADHD, like reading. I do books on tape. I'll like listen to books and shit all day long, but I'm not very good at like reading. My brain just doesn't, it just doesn't acclimate to it super well. Words get jumbled, numbers get jumbled, and that's all fine. But these books were instrumental to getting me to read more often. And obviously the movies came out and they became a huge cultural touchstone, right? And it's unfortunate that like J.K. Rowling has spent her time in the preceding years, after these books, after the movies, after the books, after all of this stuff has come out, and become a part of a lot of people's understanding of the world, understanding of themselves, a way for them to identify and relate to others, and poison that with her politics. And not just her politics on like, economics, not just her politics on I think like needless or uninteresting topics. Her politics are actively rather damaging to a subsect of people, a subsect of people who I think really found a lot of refuge in her art. I think anybody who read I think it's Ender's Game. The guy who wrote Ender's Game is like, I haven't delved deep in this, but apparently dude is like an utter homophobe and kind of a piece of shit, right? And it really makes it unfortunate, because you end up wanting to enjoy media, you end up wanting to enjoy fiction by people who you find to be rather disagreeable. I feel bad for those people who have to kind of juggle the like, oh, I really like Harry Potter, but I don't like J.K. Rowling, and how do you kind of square that round peg, I suppose. And this is I'm not gonna spend a lot of time. Like I've talked about the Hogwarts Legacy stuff before. Here's what I think. Like now that I think there was, I've seen people online before the game came out, before it was early reviews started coming out. I think there was a certain amount of safety I think people could have taken, who are very upset by the way J.K. Rowling has gone about her political rhetoric after the series and everything else. And I think it would have been, and I'm just being honest here, it would have been nice if this game sucked, right? Like I think we can all kind of understand that it's like, J.K. Rowling's a piece of shit. I really want a good Harry Potter game. But like the thing that I think most people would be kind of okay with to a degree is like, hey, the game's a buggy piece of shit, like a lot of AAA modern games these days. Unfortunately, this game suffers from the exact same what's the word I'm looking for? Issues that a lot of games come out with in terms of like graphical fidelity, in terms of how it runs, frame rate, all the rest of that stuff. I think it would have been convenient for a lot of people if this game had come out as a buggy mess like a lot of other stuff, right? Like I think that's pretty obvious. That would allow people to go like, hey, J.K. Rowling's a piece of shit and her game's gonna flop because it did really badly. Fuck them. Let me go dance on this grave. Now I don't have to even think about shit. I actually want to play this game, and now that you're telling me it's a good game, I actually really want to play it, but I also don't really want to engage or promote J.K. Rowling's political ambitions, or at the very least her political project, in terms of the rhetoric that she puts out there and the stuff that she quite frankly spends her time on Twitter going after random people and mouthing off about random shit, right? So what's up, Liberty Twitcher? Essentially, okay, so J.K. Rowling is a TERF. That's just what she is. She's accepted that, totally fine. She really hates men. I don't think that's really a positive outlook on the world, but that's her choice, right? And unfortunately, and this is the aspect of it that I feel bad for people for. Unfortunately, J.K. Rowling has tied herself and made a part of her identity in our society, in the media and everything else, about like her politics, and also tying herself to her Harry Potter wizarding world stuff. J.K. Rowling has gone out of her way to give the people who enjoy her fiction, who enjoy her her fictional universe, any of her writings, whatever it is, she has forced them to engage and promote her political ideology and her political beliefs. Simply put, if you've ever seen kind of her on Twitter, she makes a lot of these jokes about like, oh, I can't hear your criticism, or oh, you call me a TERF, but I can't hear you over the fat stacks of cash that people give me so that I can spout off my transphobic opinions. And it's a thing where I feel bad for people, because it's not a case where she says things at, maybe even it's not even if it's not like conventions, or even if it's not in interviews. It would be one thing if J.K. Rowling was simply speaking at arrangements, or if she did like an interview about her life, about her beliefs, or about anything, that would be one thing. But she actively goes out of her way to remind and tie herself to the Harry Potter property, meaning there's really no way to engage with it without engaging in her politics. Even a normal person who wants nothing to do with politics is just like, I just like Harry Potter. I grew up with the books. I grew up with the movies. I just want to play the game. There's no way that they can actually just play the game, just read the books, just watch the movies without engaging with her political opinions, because she's actively made it a point to say, if you buy this game, if you read these books, if you engage, if I make money off of any Harry Potter anything, licensing any of it, I am going to use that to attack trans people in the UK, where I have, or I get, she has some ability to push, public discourse and everything else, but she doesn't even leave her fans who want nothing to do with that stuff space to not engage with it, which I think is fucking demonic. Like that, like, as much as you want to say about the guy who wrote Ender's Game, as much as like the dude is a homophobe and just kind of an asshole, it seems like at the very least, like, he doesn't go out there and go, hey, did you like Ender's Game? Hey, did you buy Ender's Game? Guess what? I'm going to use that money right now to send money to like an anti-gay organization who campaigns against gay people. Like, he doesn't do that. He makes his own money doing speaking tours and being an asshole, and that's fine, whatever. But there's a degree of separation that has been put in between the fiction that he wrote and his personal politics and his personal, I think, like, person, that J.K. Rowling has refused to do and actively made, like, morph them into one. So, like, when I say, like, this is all of that being said, I want to make this really quick, because my Hogwarts Legacy thing isn't, I don't think, that hard. Here's the thing. Liberty Twitcher. So I don't have like the immediate tweets up right now, mainly because I'm just going over really quickly. But I implore you to go look up J.K. Rowling, and I guess you could do transgender, and kind of explore that topic a little bit. To put it lightly, she is somebody who believes that trans women are not women, and actively goes out of her way to push that rhetoric and to forward the belief that that is true. It's just she doesn't believe in like trans people being the gender that they identify as, and is kind of a transphobe. She also doesn't really like men. She had a really traumatic experience during, I think, her marriage, and like, so I think that's left her with a lot of really toxic perspective on men, on like men overall, which to her, trans women are men. So that's also why she pushes really hard and really against any kind of like equal use of bathrooms by trans people and stuff like that. Like, she's kind of a transphobe. She is a TERF, which she is. You can also probably Google that and find out a little bit more background. But like, I want to focus on this really quickly. I don't believe it. Let's see. I mean, I still don't understand what I did. I don't hate her for being a TERF. That's fine. You cannot hate her for being a TERF. I don't like her because she's a TERF. I think being a TERF is cringe. Same way being a racist is cringe. I'm not telling you have to hate her, but there's certainly a strong argument. She basically says it's silly to pretend that men can menstruate. That's not an extreme point. That's a mischaracterization of all the things she said. You're picking probably one quote, which I haven't seen. I've seen like other stuff from her. Her Twitter account's is actually really kind of a treasure trove from what I gather. But like, a lot of her rhetoric is transphobic, and she like transphobia is really cringe to me. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. But anyway, okay, so Hogwarts Legacy. For people, I think, who find J.K. Rowling disagreeable, if that bothers you, don't buy the game. Don't buy the game. And if somebody buys the game, and they're aware of any of this stuff, and if there are people that just want to enjoy fiction, just want to enjoy media, I don't think it's productive to go after those people. this isn't like I know a lot of people on the internet try to do the accountability meme of like, oh well, you know, if you buy, like there was a video recently where some dude's like, oh well, you know, if you buy Hogwarts Legacy, like you're actively supporting transphobia, this and this and the other. And I don't agree with that, only because I don't think there's really a way for anybody to take into account the money that they're sending. You know, any creator of any kind of piece of fiction. We're also talking about a video game, which is not just written by J.K. Rowling. Like it's a very different kind of like entertainment media to create, right? So I think it's not, I don't think it's really a fair comparison to be like, oh well, you know, well J.K. Rowling like makes money off of this Harry Potter thing, right? And it's like, well, there are a number of developers who are very passionate and probably fans of that universe who also don't want anything to do with her politics and just want to make a good fucking game for Harry Potter fans. And I think, and this is where the politics comes in. From a left perspective, I don't think we should be going after people for buying the game, because guess what? Normies are going to buy the game because normies like Harry Potter. And I don't think going after people who aren't really engaged in politics, maybe aren't even really aware of what J.K. Rowling does in her free time and the campaign that she's kind of been on, in terms of like, you know, her turf stuff. But like, they're not aware, like the normies aren't aware of this. They just want to play a video game. Don't go kicking sand on their campfire like needlessly over this sort of stuff. No matter what, Harry Potter is a property that's going to make J.K. Rowling a lot of money. And quite frankly, it's not worth losing, I think. I don't think it's worth looking like a overly sensitive, but also like unfun political actor as a leftist to go and bother people about buying a video game for a property they enjoy, but the person who gets to own that property is an asshole in their perspective. Like there's just no, I don't think we gain anything from that. I get it. You know, if you want to express like, hey, this person's like done or said some fucked up things, you know, if you're just like, I'm not here for any of that, that's totally fine. But I, you know, it's I don't want to say it's a sins of the father type thing, but I don't find it to be politically advantageous from a movement perspective, and from an interpersonal perspective, I just don't think it's very useful. If you want to play the game, play the goddamn game. You know, there are going to be, for every one person who like plays it and knows where the money's going, there's like 1,000 who don't. Like, trust me, it'll be fine. Like, continue to push back against her harmful rhetoric. That's fine. But you know, we're not gonna, I don't see it as a advantageous political political strategy to go after normal people for just enjoying their normal people media. It's just not. And from, you know, and like that's my overall take. That's my overall take. I just want to, now that the game's out, the game is good. It's going to be inconvenient. I get it. It'd be nice if the game was bad, but it's not. So now it's up to people to figure out, all right, well, you know, how much am I comfortable with supporting this? And I don't think, just don't, I think I said this earlier, and you know, I've said this from time to time, but easy on people, hard on institutions. Not everyone's as plugged in with you know, all the politics and the goings on. Just take it easy. People are going to enjoy a Harry Potter thing because they enjoy Harry Potter. I get it. J.K. Rowling makes money. It fucking sucks. But, you know, that's one of those things where it's just like, all right, we can accept this. Let's just continue to counter that speech and not harmfully implicate people who just want to enjoy stuff. But that's the Hogwarts Legacy thing. I'm actually really glad this was just going to show off some RTX shit. I think that's what this is, actually. It's like, you know the thing that they tell, you know, like at the end of all YouTube videos where they tell you to like click on one of these like things to watch more videos. Yeah, I've been meaning to film one of those. So that's what I was doing. I was just setting it up to film one.